Hello and welcome back to the Wasteland, everybody. Welcome back to Fallout 3, where today we're going to be going over the top 10 best armors in Fallout 3. Now, there is actually quite a lot of good armor in Fallout 3. It was surprisingly difficult to narrow it down to just 10 of them, because when I was going through this, I had a list of about 15 to 16 armors, and there's a pretty good argument for putting any one of those on this list too. This is mostly looking at armors, but there is going to be at least one set of clothing on this. Some of the clothing is actually pretty decent for armor, and I think a very special mention should go out to the Vault armored suit that you can get right at the very start of the game, because that is actually pretty good armor for right at the start of the game. It's better than the security outfits that you can get, anything that you can get inside of the vault. So coming in at our number 10 spot, we have probably our rarest armor in Fallout 3, and this is the T51B power armor. Now, this power armor is actually the strongest power armor. It has the most defense on it out of any of the power armors, besides the Hellfire armor, which this one is tied with, and this one protects for 50, it weighs 40. It doesn't actually have any downsides to it whatsoever. It's just passive radiation resistance, so it has a lot going for it. The main reason why it's down here at number 10 though is that it is the only suit of this power armor. There is no other suits of this armor. So if you do need to fix this, you're going to have to go and talk to somebody. You can't repair this with alien epoxy, and there's nothing that substitutes for this armor either. On top of that though, this is also tied to Crowley's quest, which is probably one of the longest quests in Fallout 3, to where you need to get all of the keys and make sure to not give them to Crowley, or afterwards, after you've given them to Crowley, steal them back or kill him for them. And then you can go way up north to the military base up there and break into it. And if you get to the very back room, then you can get the T51B armor. So it takes a lot going to there, or you need to have 100 lockpicking. I think you can go through at least one or two of the doors with that. But even so, I don't think it would be really worth rushing lockpicking. There is also kind of the problem with this being power armor, and that means you're either going to have to do Operation Anchorage to get the power armor training, which isn't that big of a deal, or you're going to have to get most of the way through the main story, at least the main campaign, before Broken Steel in order to get power armor training too. So rushing this early on, I don't think is really worth it. It's a cool reward at the end of that quest, but it's not really as good as some of these other armors that we got on here. Coming in at our number 9 spot, we have the Metal Master armor. This one is an armor that you get in the pit. This is one that you earn from collecting so many steel ingots. There's actually quite a few sets of armor that you get from there. And this one is probably the best. This one has the highest defenses on it, or one of the highest defenses, especially for the weight. This has 36 armor on it for only 15 weight. It also has plus 10 unarmored and plus 10 energy weapons. Its only downside is minus 1 agility. Minus 1 agility does kind of suck, but those other bonuses are really good, especially if you plan on rushing the pit early, and unarmed is already really strong in the pit. So this one's a really good armor to get. It's also not super difficult to fix up, at least so long as you're in the pit. It's just a very good weight to armor ratio, and it gives you extra bonuses on top of it, so being tanky and being lightweight is super useful. Speaking of the pit, we have a couple more armors. Coming in at our number 8 spot, we have Asher's power armor. Now, this is the armor that is worn by Asher. You're going to have to take it off of him by force. This one has already good stats. It's pretty much equivalent to all the other power armors in terms of damage resistance and weight, as well as item health. It has a lot of item health, which is great, but it has more bonuses than most of the other power armors, where this one has plus 1 strength, plus 1 charisma, plus 1 luck, minus 1 agility, and plus 10 radiation resistance. It's kind of just got more stats overall than most of the other power armor, so it works better for a general purpose role, which is great for power armor. You can fix this up with other power armors too, and I just really like the way this one looks too. On top of that, that doesn't really affect the score here, but this one looks pretty awesome, how it's all beat up and worn, like you've been living in the pit for quite a while. So Asher's power armor is pretty good. Coming in our number 7 spot, we actually have the other version of Asher's power armor. It has the exact same model. This is the Tribal power armor. This is the final reward that you get from the pit. Now, this one actually protects the least out of the power armors, but it has pretty much nothing but upsides besides the minus 1 agility that most of the power armor has. So this is plus 1 strength, plus 1 luck, plus 15 action points, and plus 5 melee weapons. That's pretty good inside of the pit, and rushing the pit early on can actually be pretty decent. You can't really wear these if you don't have power armor training, but if you do want to go to Anchorage early on, these can be pretty good power armors. The Tribal power armor is also one of the most lightweight power armors, so that's nice. Coming in at our number 6 spot, we have the Samurai armor. You get this on Mothership Zeta, and in order to get this, you're either going to have to reverse pickpocket the Samurai and take his armor by giving him better armor, or at least higher defense armor. Then he can wear that, and then you can steal it off of him, or he's going to have to die and you're going to take it. Now, the Samurai armor is really good stat-wise. It's 30 defense for 20 weight, which is very solid, but on top of that, it also gives you a very unique bonus where it gives you plus 10 melee weapons and plus 10 melee damage, which this is really the only armor that actually buffs melee damage directly. So having plus 10 more to the stat is really good, especially for weapons that attack fast. The samurai armor is really good with the katana, and that would be the most fitting to apply to this, but it's also really strong with weapons like the Ripper or the Auto Axe, where they attack really quickly, and just giving them more base damage makes it so their DPS goes really high. So the samurai armor is really solid for a melee build. Coming in at number 5 spot, we have the Ranger Battle Armor. The Ranger Battle Armor is what you get, or what you can get as a reward from completing the Riley's Rangers quest. You have to specifically request this one. You can either pick that or the minigun. I think that this one is the better option of those two. This one protects you the most out of any of the combat armors, almost protecting as much as power armor, so that's really good, and it only weighs 27, so it is more lightweight. On top of that, it gives you plus 10 small guns, plus 1 luck, and plus 5 action points. Having plus 1 luck on anything is really good in this game. That just means more crits. More action points is great because VATS is really strong in this, and plus 10 small guns just makes it so if you don't have maxed out small guns, you're going to get a little bit more damage when using them. This also has the most item health out of any of the combat armors too, so it takes the longest to break, and combat armor is one of the more common armors that you can find towards the mid and late game, especially if you're being a good guy, which is pretty easy to do in Fallout 3 because it's fairly easy to get good karma, and then you'll have like the Talon Company mercs attacking you. It's just free to fix up then. This one's just a really solid set of armor overall. Coming in at number 4, we have the Chinese Stealth Suit. This one is really strong. Not necessarily because it has great stats, it actually has pretty good stats at 28 defense and 20 weight. 20 weight is still kind of heavy for not the most amount of defense compared to some of the ones we've seen, but this one also gives you plus 15 sneak when you have it on, and it also makes it so when you crouch, you have a stealth field, so it works like a stealth boy. Which, that's really strong, especially with a really high sneak. It makes it so enemies are likely never going to see you, even when they're bumping directly into you, and hitting sneak crits in this game is absolutely insane. So if you like playing with a stealthy build, the Chinese Stealth Suit definitely allows you to do that. It's also not super difficult to fix up because you can fix it up with recon suits, which aren't the most common thing in the game, but this has better item health than a lot of other armors like it. Coming in at our number 3 spot, we have the Chinese Jumpsuit. This is actually our only clothing that's showing up here, and this one is a little bit cheating because this is specifically the General's Jumpsuit. Any of the regular Chinese jumpsuits are pretty bad as armor. They're not even that great at clothing, but the Chinese General's outfit is really good. You have to get this one from Anchorage. I have a whole video talking about how to get this one. It actually takes multiple steps in order for you to get it, but you can get it on any console. This has been in all versions of Fallout 3 as far as I'm aware. So if you can sneak it out of the sim, then you have one of the best armor to weight ratios in the game, where this thing protects for 25 and only weighs 2. It doesn't have any other effects on top of it other than it being unbreakable as well. So it has those benefits going for it, and it's just a really strong suit of clothing if you want to be carrying it around, or if you just want to wear it the entire time, because it makes for really good armor, especially if you like hoarding things or you're not going with a high strength character build, in which case then this can be kind of nice just for something that's lightweight but also really defensive. Coming in at our number 2 spot, we have Hellfire armor. Hellfire armor is really, really good in Fallout 3. This has the highest amount of defense out of any of the armors. The only one that matches it is the T-51B, which, like we talked about before, there is only one of it, so it's kind of awkward to recommend that one, whereas Hellfire armor appears pretty often, at least into the late game of Fallout 3, where the Enclave Hellfire troops start showing up. This one has a ton of item health, it's got really good defense, it's got really good bonuses to it as well. It has no downsides. It's plus 1 strength, plus 30 fire resist, and plus 15 radiation resist. There's not a whole lot of things that are going to be using fire on you besides Hellfire troops in the late game, but still it's kind of nice to have that. And there's really no downside to this armor. This is kind of the better version of the T-51B that we talked about earlier. And then coming in our number 1 spot, you guys probably all seen this coming, we have the Winterized Power armor. This one is one of the best suits of power armor in the game because it's pretty much unbreakable. It's not completely unbreakable, but it has like 9 million HP, so it's going to take forever for it to break, and you can use it through the entire game, and you're probably never going to notice it losing even so much as 1 value on it. So the Winterized Power armor you get at the end of Operation Anchorage, and all you have to do is just complete the DLC, which it's a pretty short DLC, and it gives you power armor training, so you can immediately put this on at the end of that DLC. It has higher stats than a lot of power armors at 45 defense. It weighs 40, so it is kind of heavy, but it has no downsides to it either. It's just plus 25 radiation resist on top of that, and being unbreakable. So the Winterized Power armor kind of just wins here because it is the best option, at least in a lot of cases. But yeah, the Winterized Power armor is just insane. It is really good. Tell me your top 10 armors in Fallout 3. There's a lot of actually pretty decent ones in this. I might do this for the hats and helmets too. Bandanas included, all the other stuff that you can put on your head, because there are some pretty good ones there as well. Tell me what you think about that. Thank you guys so very much for watching this one. Hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.